Welcome to the X Block.
Am I right, Marine? Sir, yes, sir! Then listen up.
You're listening to the X Block. I'm Jared. He's Caleb. Let's get into it.
You are listening to the X Block Podcast, episode 23. I'm Jaren, and I'm here with Caleb.
Hey.
And this is the world's #1 Xbox podcast.
Probably.
One day.
One day, it's not going to be probably anymore, and we'll change all our, logo material and all our kind of... Do we have copyright, Jaren? We do. I'm just going to say we do. We do. And we're gonna change that, but for now, probably.
You gotta be safe, right? Don't want to deal with the lawyers.
Oh, Jaren, I'm always safe.
Double wrap it. So, Caleb, what have you been playing this fine week?
Dude, it's good to get into this, but immediately, because there's a lot of news. So I guess I'll just roll through real quick. Zombie Army 4 Dead War. I beat that on Nightmare difficulty, and boy, that was a nightmare. That shit was hard as fuck. Besides that, and some of you are saying Zombie Army 4, Caleb, I don't even, why are you playing that? Sometimes I think about what I play, and I'm like, does anybody else play the things that I play? And I'm like, no, they don't. And then after that, I played Outriders with you. You and I actually played co-op games. Listen, long-time listeners, you remember when Jaren and I were like, and and I think we're going to play Outriders next after It Takes Two, 3 months ago? You remember that? Well, it finally happened a bit for 7 hours this week.
Yeah, remember It Takes Two when we could beat a game?
Yeah, I don't actually remember that, Jaren. I don't think we've ever beaten anything at this point. So we played some Outriders. That game's still pretty fun, has some issues, hate the map. Don't like the map at all. The map can eat my asshole. Jaren can talk about that too when it's his turn. Played a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! As I do. Played a little bit of, Rainbow Six Siege with the boys. And then I've been playing the Elder Scrolls Online, which I've mentioned. So my little orc buddy, Orlog, is what I named him, I believe. He is level, 10, 11? And I'm out of the initial kind of starting smaller island that takes a bit, and I'm now on the first kind of, I think one of the first main kind of Daggerfall Covenant island, and I'm just doing some quests and hanging out, got me a horse, got me some weapons, and is transmog what it's called? When you make your character look like something with armor and all that, regardless of what they're wearing. Is that what they're called? Is that what it's called? Or is that
is that what that means?
I don't know. I think it is, based on looking up how to do it, and I saw that term. So maybe I'm just stupid. That's true. I don't know if it's related here. But yeah, I made my character look cool, and now my orc is just on a hunt to do all these quests to get 3 achievements for 90 hours of gameplay. But yeah, that's basically what I've been playing this week. Just some maybe some shit games, maybe some not shit games, Zombie Army 4 can eat a little bit of my asshole, and that's it. That's what I've been playing. What about you, man?
There you go. Well, I've been playing Outriders with you, like we said. And yeah, dude, that map, fucking trash.
Oh yeah, okay, so we're staying on this. Yeah, that map, it's not clear where you are, and the fast travel points that make no sense, and some icons on the map. It's like, yo, there's a bounty over here. And you're like, all right, sweet, dude. And you walk over there and you're like, okay, where's the bounty? And then you walk around for 30 minutes and you're like, grr! And then you look it up and then it's like, oh, the bounty's over here. And you're like, that's fucking 3 inches across my TV screen on the map. What the fuck? And so that's what he's talking about.
And 16 minutes ago, I finished Plague Tale Innocence.
What? Dude, did you like that game? Did you have a fun time? Do you think it was good?
I had a great time until the last 2 missions, which I just the ending's fine. It's exactly what I wanted. I just feel like it took too long to get there. And then spoilers for Plague Tale Innocence if you haven't played it by now, but you
skip ahead 1 minute.
You fight this dude at the end, and all game you're killing people with rocks in 1 shot to the head. And then you gotta play a dude. He's wearing a fucking paper hat, but he takes 3 shots to the head.
Oh, I know him. Yeah. That guy. Yeah. Yeah. Is he the Pope or something? He's like a high-ranking cardinal or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, dude. But everything in the end of that game is and now we're gonna drag it out.
Yeah. Well, I think I mentioned to you when you started playing it. I was like, the game's 2 hours long, right? Too long, rather. 2 hours too long. Yeah. It drags a bit. I kind of liked the ending a bit, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I liked the ending.
I'm excited for the sequel because I feel like they're going to iron out all the kinks, right? They try to make combat sections where the game is more stealth focused and the combat doesn't make as much sense.
Oh yeah, it's janky as fuck.
Yeah, and I imagine it looks good for you, unlike the new, with the upgrades. So I didn't experience that, so I imagine it makes it way better.
Oh yeah, it looks pretty. I'm having a blast playing it, or I had a blast playing it. I had my gripes, but overall, excited for the sequel. Glad it's in Game Pass.
It's a unique story, right? It's a cool, story. You don't see many stories like that. What is it, kind of French during, a hypothetical, plague era, 1300s or something?
Yeah, with like
I
the
don't know if it's during the
Inquisition.
100 Years' War. Yeah, I don't know, and it's just like a unique, and they have French accents, and it's a stealth game with a high dark medieval tone, and you're like, yeah, this is really cool. Yeah,
It was
A lot of
definitely
games
something
like that.
unique.
Yeah.
And I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to the next part, and I liked when the kid went full rat power.
Oh, what's his name again? I hate
Hugo.
that fucking kid. Hugo. Oh my god, you said it, and I had a fucking aneurysm. Yeah, I hate that kid. That kid can go die. I hated protecting him. I let him die sometimes just so I could feel something. What are you playing next? After you finish this game, what's your plan for your next single player game?
I haven't really thought about it yet. It might be Days Gone. It might be the Forgotten City, which is that Skyrim mod.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it could be a bunch of things.
PC focused, huh?
Yeah, or it'll be Gears Tactics. It really depends on what I play.
Yeah, you just gotta be in the moment, I guess, I don't know, in a day or two. See what's up. Yeah, I feel that. I'll be playing The Elder Scrolls Online for the next fucking ever, so look forward to that.
That's fair. Right now, I'm playing Do I Have COVID or Don't I Have COVID?
Is it a no? Is it a yes? Find out next week.
And now, we're moving on to Outside the Box.
I'm thinking outside the box,
where we cover all the news you need to know outside the Xbox community. And on our first story, Google once considered taking over Epic Games and that pesky Fortnite. This is from Tom Ivan on Video Games Chronicle, and he basically writes out this article, which I saw nowhere else.
I was gonna say, Jaron and I mentioned this right before we started recording, and I was like, Jaron put together this wonderful doc this week, and I saw this story, and I was like, dude, I haven't, maybe I'm an idiot and I haven't paid attention. I haven't really seen people report on this. Like, where did this come from? And then Jaron's like, oh yeah, dude, VGC, them's the boys.
And this article talks about how Google tried to, I guess, get together with Tencent to either take over the company through a hostile takeover or try to buy some of Tencent shares. It's not quite 100% what they were trying to do, because obviously they're not going to comment on it. It's from leaked documents. And it also unveils something called Project Hug, where Google paid extra companies so that it wouldn't lose its forecasted $6 billion that it thinks that it would have lost if companies chose to go with other distribution methods rather than the Play Store.
I mean, it's a kind of a big story. It's a big story, but there's a lot here, kind of this comes from unredacted court documents. And yeah, so basically Tencent, which is an arm of the Chinese government because it's a corporation and it's owned by China, the Communist Party of China. They have a 40% stake in Epic. And those of you know Epic makes Fortnite, which is fucking huge. And apparently Epic has complained, in Epic's complaint, they said, quote, Google recognized that Epic might not accept its... I'll start with this. Google, quote, has developed a series of internal projects to address the contagion it perceived from efforts by Epic and others to offer consumers and developers competitive alternatives, and has even contemplated buying some or all of Epic to squelch this threat. So what it was Epic, just like they did, I think, on Apple's store, they made Fortnite... They tried making Fortnite available for Android users outside of Google Play, which cuts into Google's revenue, or cut in some way, if I'm not mistaken. And Google didn't like this. And they tried to, an executive or a senior Google executive proposed that Google, quote, consider approaching Tencent, end quote, a company that owns a minority stake, to either A, buy Epic shares from Tencent to get more control over Epic, or B, join up with Tencent to buy 100% of Epic. And then, yeah, there's the Project Hug thing that Jaron mentioned, which, according to Epic CEO Tim Sweeney, the shady Project Hug initiative would, quote, pay off publishers to not compete with Google Play by rebating 5% of store fees, but financially characterizing the transactions as YouTube deals, cloud service discounts, etc. And so, yeah, Google was like, man, we're going to lose, I don't know. They said VGC says Epic claims Google spent hundreds of millions of dollars on around 20 deals with leading app makers, including Activision Blizzard, as it feared losing up to $6 billion if the companies chose to distribute their products through alternative channels. And so Google was like, fuck that, and they tried to just buy them out, with back-end shady deal. That's kind of what I get from that. I'm not an expert, Jaron's not a legal expert, but from our, dumbass opinions, that's a bit shady. Trying to go through.
We are an expert on, though?
What's up, man?
Shadiness.
Yeah, dude.
And
I know you're shady.
I want to talk about some hypocrisy, because we've got Epic out here calling people shady, yet then this week they step in and make a cloned version of Among Us and slap it out inside Fortnite. And
they did, yeah.
Everyone's pointing this out as a clone. Our actual nice friends over at Inner Sloth responded, and Victoria Tran, who's their community manager, she says, like, game mechanics fine, those shouldn't be gate kept. But at the very least, different themes or terminology makes things more interesting. Another person who worked on the game, Gary Porter. Now, let's keep in mind, this is a massive billion-dollar company stealing from 4 people who made a video game. And Gary Porter says, it's okay, though. They flipped electrical in medbay and connected security to the cafeteria. He's got 2 versions of the map side by side where it looks suspiciously
He
close.
shows the map comparison, and he's like, they basically used this part of the map,
Yeah.
here. They flipped a few things, and like that's kind of our map.
And the one thing I want to point out on this is everybody's kind of universally been like, this is shady, this is shady. This is traditionally what Epic and Fortnite have done throughout all of Fortnite's existence. Every feature you like in Fortnite is stolen from a different game except the building part.
Apex jump pads, obviously, PUBG premise, that kind of shit.
Yep. What do you do when your game's a dumpster fire? You add a battle royale mode to it that you stole from another company, and then you become the biggest game ever, and then a new game comes along and starts to take a bit of your cake that isn't Call of Duty, and you go, hey, let's steal that from the 4 indie developers. But the one issue that I have on the news coverage of this comes from Kotaku, who wrote this article by Mike Fahey. And he writes, is it bad that I like Fortnite's version of Among Us better? And I'm like, all right, so there's like 4 people that made the Among Us game, maybe 5 now, who knows, a small team. And I don't, like, the guy's point is, I like how this, and this, and this, and this work better. Well, no shit. A mode made by 1,000 people is gonna
1,000 people
function better than a mode made by 5 people. And most of his criticisms of it are like, I don't like how I get caught early, or I get confused, and it's like, so you essentially wrote an article about how you're bad at Among Us, and Fortnite made it easier for you by stealing the game, and you're like, yo, maybe this is a good idea. I got a hint for you, Mike. It's not a good idea. You shouldn't be stealing from indie developers who this is like the first chance at money they've ever had, and usually Kotaku's all about that, but I guess not this week.
Yeah, I see. Here's the thing. I respect that you're passionate about this topic to a degree. I'm like, this is kind of cool. Jaren coming out here hot, today with the hot takes. And I mean, I don't want to say I necessarily disagree with you, but maybe I do a little bit. Where like Fortnite kind of obviously ripped off these like the game mode and the maybe some of the map a bit, although they changed it a bit. And I'm like, well, like that sucked. That's kind of shitty. But at the same time, I'm like, well, I mean, that's games though. Like,
oh yeah, for
I think
sure.
PUBG tried to sue them about the battle royale thing, and they like dropped it because it's like there's just no way it holds up. Like the gaming is so iterative, and so like obviously you have even these people who are like, this new game we made, which is at least it's kind of different. This comparison I'm making isn't apt, but it's like. The Splitgate people are like, it's Halo plus Portal, and it plays just like Halo. I mean, it's like, they put an Among Us mode in Fortnite, and I'm like, I feel that's kind of, I agree, like, on a personal, moral level, that's kind of shady a little bit, where you're like, that's, come on, guys. But at the same time, I'm like, well, I mean, they can do that,
Oh, yeah, they can definitely do it. There's nothing illegal about it. They've been stealing features from the onset of Fortnite, so it's kind of expected. You figure... maybe just like a little class, pick on people who like steal from EA when they come out with, I don't even remember what it's called.
I don't know. Put Star Wars Rogue Squadrons in Fortnite. I don't know. I don't care about Fortnite. Fortnite can eat my poo-poo. And I like the Among Us people. They're cool. And I like Among Us. And I mean, that's about... I don't have a deeper thought about this. And beyond that, I know you're a big Among Us fan.
Oh, yeah. The only thing I'll tack on is when Caleb brought up the PUBG suing, Fortnite?
Yeah.
At the time, both majority, or not majority, but mostly owned by Tencent. And all that did was boost the popularity of both games. So was that a real lawsuit? I don't know. Maybe we should move on to the next topic.
Well, we'll go back real quick. The Google thing. That's another thing about the whole Google thing is, I mean, to close kind of how we feel about that, or how I feel about that, I guess I'll say. Where you're like, okay, Google, that's a bit shady. I get that they want their kind of run their own marketplace and make their cuts and shit, but I mean, and also this is kind of coming from the perspective of Epic, and I think Google. To be fair, a spokesperson told Protocol, quote, as we have stated previously, Epic's lawsuit is baseless and mischaracterizes our business conversations. Android provides more choices in mobile devices for developers and consumers, end quote. So that's kind of like their rebuttal. I don't really know who's right. I don't have enough legal expertise, but it is a pretty big story, kind of, that allegedly, or apparently here from these documents, Google, I mean, it's pretty shady that Google tried to partner with an arm of the Chinese government to buy out fucking Epic, and then who already owns them, with Tencent already owns a minority stake. And then it's even more shady that they tried to do some back-end deals for Project Hug to pay off publishers to not compete with Google Play.
Anyway, the only last thing that I'll say on this is, Epic, throughout this entire lawsuit, has been playing the, oh, we're the good guy here, we're trying to do all this stuff to, break up this. It's two shady companies that are both in it just for an extra paycheck, going back and forth at each other, trying to sway the public to view them in a different way.
On a personal level, I don't trust any of the companies that couldn't, just by want of them doing it if they desired. These companies, both of them, probably couldn't put a Taiwanese flag in anything. And I think that says all that needs to say about those companies.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Hopping over to the next topic, this should be a relatively quick one. Gamescom 2021 Opening Night Live will showcase over 30 titles. Caleb, count that, 30.
I can't even count to 20, dude.
The event will kick off on Wednesday, August 25th, and it will be at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6:30 p.m. BST, and 7:30 p.m. CEST, which I don't even know what those last two are, but if you care about those, there you go.
So you're here. If you're hearing this episode on Monday, the 23rd, then this will be on Wednesday, 25th, after this episode comes out. We mentioned this last week. Turns out Jeff has a lot of fucking shit to show. Maybe it'll be great. Maybe some of it won't be so great. I imagine there'll be a few things in there. Jared and I will probably watch it. 30 titles, and Jeff Keighley hosting this kind of kickoff event. And just kind of a tack onto this. I think Jeff tweeted out something about this, and then the people, Volition, if they're still around, the
I was
going to
toss that in.
Yeah. So what happened was they retweeted out rebooting and some graffiti art with the Saints logo from Saints Row next to it. And so they've said before, apparently, they're not in some capacity. I don't remember the whole article, but it's they're not doing a remaster or a remake. And since it said rebooting, it's possible that, they're rebooting Saints Row, the franchise. So we'll see. By the time you're hearing this, maybe it's already happened. We'll see what happens with Saints Row.
Remember when Embracer Group threw an E3 press conference and showed none of their important games? Maybe some of them are going to be at Gamescom.
It's entirely possible. Don't hold your breath.
And that is all for Outside the Box. We are now moving into the Big Daddy, the namesake, the X Block. Man, I listened to that song recently, and the music, I wish we could just put the music in without getting copyrighted, because it sounds so hype, but it's so much better than me. And you have DMX in the background, the snares could get, yeah, it's what you hear, that kind of shit. And you're like, man. It's what you hear and listen. Listen, it's what you hear and listen. Sounds so much better than me. The first story, and the most important, no co-op or Forge at Halo launch. I have a lot to say about this, you can imagine. It is, this story has a lot of context, a lot of implications, and a lot of meaning for Halo and Halo Infinite, even though it's kind of a mild story. Do you want me to take it? Or how you want to go about this, Jeremy? I think you should go first, because you have the closest attachment, and I will sweep up if we don't mention the nonsense that I think people are saying on Twitter. Okay, yeah. So you boys, this is we're bringing back a banger. You ready, Jaron? You ready? Yep. All right. What's up, everybody? It's your boy Caleb G. What is it? What did I call this podcast, Jaron? The Halo Block within a podcast. The Halo Block. Dude, Halo Block's back, man. After months of absence or something, we're bringing it back. So we got the Halo Block, your podcast within a podcast, all about Halo Infinite, leading up to Halo Infinite's launch. And this week, man, fucking Forge and co-op, campaign co-op, will be added to Halo Infinite after launch. This has a lot of context here. So what happened was, I don't know if it was Joseph Staten, who's was it the creative director of the game at this point? He or someone went on a live stream that I didn't watch because I don't care as much as the main news. And he talked, and what they talked about, or someone talked, and what they talked about, Jaren, was that Forge, which is the custom kind of game, custom map creator that Halo's known for, and then campaign co-op, which wasn't in Halo 5, and people complained about it, will be added to Halo Infinite later. So campaign co-op
will be added 3 months after, or within, roughly 3 months after the game launches, presumably in like November, December. And so it'll be in season 2. Each season lasts 3 months for the game. And so season 1, then in season 2, after 3 months, you get campaign co-op. And then their plan is in season 3, which is after 6 months, they will put Forge in the game. So that'll be half a year after launch. And so this is significant because Halo hardcore community people love a good couch, campaign co-op, and they're not getting it. And so people are upset about that, and it's a feature of the game that's not going to be in there. And then Forge also, Forge not being in there takes away custom games to a degree. Like you can't, you won't be able to like search for custom games and do that shit, which people love, and that's a big part of what makes Halo multiplayer so fun. That won't be in their launch. Now, for your boy Caleb G over at the X Block, Jaren, I don't care. I was gonna play the campaign solo, and I don't really care if I play it co-op at this point. They're gonna add it in soon, and it'll be fine. And then Forge, I'm not a map builder, and I don't really need to play custom games while I get accustomed to the actual multiplayer modes, right? That's kind of my own perspective. So from a visual perspective, from like a brand perspective, it's not so good because it's just something for people to shit on, And these things kind of being a staple of Halo, it feels like it's launching content light, which it kind of is. Although people have made the argument in the industry, larger people and everything, that are like, well, Halo Infinite already has like more modes and more features than like most games. Like if it launched with Forge and co-op campaign as an open world FPS, and the campaign, just the campaign obviously, and the multiplayer, all that shit, with it's insane. It's insane, the content offering for the game. And this news is upsetting, but it allows them to get the game out this year, Jaren, which I wanted to ask you, how important do you think it is for them to get the game out this year instead of delaying it again? Because they said that they couldn't delay it, or that they had real talks at the studio about delaying this again, like serious talks. And they decided to just delay these 2 features, and while they're in the polishing kind of shutdown stage, and focus on polishing the campaign and multiplayer experience, and then adding these after. And then that allows them to release this year. What do you think about that? I'm curious.
I think it's of the utmost importance that they drop the game this fall, especially with PlayStation largely pulling out of the fall.
Yeah, I think the PlayStation absence this fall is also an important kind of boon for Microsoft in terms of just marketing their console and just the game being more successful and having more of a shine. Is that kind of how you feel, or you have more to say about that in general?
I don't think, I'm not going to give them a break on not having the features done, because if we break it down in a sense, multiplayer is free, right?
Yeah, multiplayer is free.
If you don't have Game Pass, you're paying, like say you're buying this on Steam, you're paying the equivalent to, what is it, $59.99 for you in the States?
I don't know. I don't actually know what this game will cost because I've never looked at it because I got it in Game Pass.
Okay, well, whatever it costs, upwards of $60. You're paying for that just to play the single player campaign because the multiplayer is free.
Yeah, I honestly, I haven't even looked at the cost of the game. I just didn't think about that until you said it. I'm like, oh yeah, well, what does the game cost?
Yeah, so it's like this stuff eventually will come, but that doesn't seem like a great offering if I have to pay for it, which I know a lot of it doesn't. And I really hope that this doesn't become a trend with Game Pass where Microsoft thinks it's okay to drop chunks of games and then use those as things to fill content through Game Pass. Mm-hmm. Obviously, yeah. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here because I think this is a COVID-related circumstance, and I think all the people calling for delays and delay the game so that co-op can be in it is ridiculous. Honestly, I think the more smarter thing would have been to delay split screen and have co-op at launch, because there's no way that the game doesn't work with me playing on my Xbox and Caleb playing on his Xbox. I'm betting that co-op doesn't work with split screen, where the game has to run 2 versions of the game on the console at once. I'm betting that's why co-op's not in it at launch. Forge probably just isn't done.
Yeah, split screen multiplayer was confirmed. So you'll be able to play online split screen day 1 on console, though not on PC, they say. And they say the team is looking into adding it sometime in the future, which makes sense, right? Like split screen on PC for multiplayer. It's like, what?
Yeah, do people split screen on PC? I've never split screened a game on PC.
Yeah, so it's like they're like, it's on console day 1, split screen multiplayer. It seems that it's this game. This is so much in a larger context. It's like, yeah, this game's had a bit more of a tumultuous development cycle, trying to get Halo right, and then also innovate and make it a more open world game. and try to make a really robust, fun single or multiplayer experience. And it's like, yeah, they delayed the game and then they had COVID and it's like they've had some problems. But at the same time, the technical preview showed that everyone loves this game. You know, it's really great. Like everyone who played it, no one really had bad things to say about it. And that was a pre-alpha minimal technical preview type shit. And they're like, it's awesome. And I'm excited to see what they add. And speaking of that, they said that they're going to do a flight. This is from Kotaku, Zach Wisen. He said, instead, they'll be added to the game next year. He's talking about the features we just mentioned. And he said, they also promised more and bigger flights to test out modes like Big Team Battle. And no, we still don't have a release date, which is an interesting point. They didn't announce a release date, even though Call of Duty just announced theirs. But they said that that's coming soon. That info's coming soon. It's a little offsetting or off-putting that they couldn't just say it. Yeah, it's probably Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever. But yeah, it's weird that they couldn't just say it. But I guess that will probably be here by the next episode that you listen to this. And yeah, it's disappointing. It's a little content light more than you'd expect. I'm glad they're getting the game out this year because I don't want to wait for this to come out. Like what, next June, or some shit, just to add co-op campaign and Forge.
Yeah, anyone who actually cares about the story of Halo and playing the game is perfectly content playing the game solo. Everyone who's making a big deal about the co-op campaign are people that have like memories of playing co-op campaign with their friends and hopping in and playing co-op
it's
campaign.
Symbolic. Yeah.
So if you care about the campaign, obviously you're going to play it by yourself. And we all know that as much as people want to say Halo has a bigger campaign following than every other shooter, and that's probably true, everyone's here for the multiplayer.
Yeah.
And as long as that makes it out, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm excited for it still. It's unfortunate for the brand. I talked about, I think I mentioned to someone in like a forum, I was like, I assume, on like a Patreon forum, I was like, I assume this will also hurt the review scores a bit, even though it may not even be totally relevant, but like, it's just already like this game is not going to get a 10 out of 10. And it's may even partially be influenced by the fact it's like, well, there's no co-op campaign and there's no Forge, and the other games have that, and you're like, all right.
Yeah, I wonder what we'll get, because it seems like the game industry has come almost back around on Xbox and is more willing to give them higher scores. And I think the fact that it's on PC might boost its scores up too, from like That's the PC true. People reviewing it, because they're just going to be reviewing whatever's there. They're used to these kind of releases with games.
Yeah, and also just to add on to this, I think one of the last things I'll mention about this, and we'll move on. They mentioned that they're willing to do this and add campaign co-op in, just a few months later, and then Forge, I guess, half a year later, because of the live service model of the game, and they think that it's appropriate and it'll be fine, and that they're the less important features anyway, even though custom games are important. But I also think it's like fine to just like not have that and just to get into the actual multiplayer for a while, and then have something to look forward to, even if that gets delayed, and it gives them more time. And it's what they said, like, they're going to focus more now and get down to business on polishing the things that matter, which is just the campaign and then the multiplayer, and make those as good as possible for launch. Even though the game probably could be delayed a half a year or a year, it's just, at this point, it's like, we just want to play it. And I'm sure the game, it's unfortunate that it's like it'll probably be like every other game Jared and I talk about, where if you're not a huge fan, you may not even want to play it day one, and then you come back in 6 months or a year and the game is like way better. That could happen with this game, and that's unfortunate, but at this point, it's like, just put it out. Just get the game out, dude.
I'm going to accept it for the one time, Microsoft, and then next time, if you give me half a game, I'm going to rip you for it.
No, that's the thing. We say half, right? That's the thing, though. Campaign, co-op, and Forge. It's like you're giving us, 5/6 of a game? And then you're leaving out 1/6.
Yeah, that's true. The argument on Twitter right now that I see from Xbox fanboys trying to defend this, where they're like, well, Ghost of Tsushima got co-op later. It's a single player game that they added co-op to. They added co-op to that. It was never going to have co-op at the start. They didn't take a feature away.
To Jaren's point, I imagine it's very hard, and maybe, I don't know, maybe it's not, but I would think it's pretty hard to fully render and have running in the way that they want it to a first-person shooter that's open world on split screen. Like, I imagine that's not super easy. I don't think you can do it, like, does Far Cry? Like, Far Cry and stuff doesn't do that. You don't see, like, can you play Doom, like, campaign split screen or something? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm not familiar, but and that's not really open world as much, right? Doom Eternal and stuff. I don't know. It just seems like the type of game this is, and first-person shooters, fast-paced, and all. It seems like they're just having trouble, and they're like, fuck it, we're just gonna focus on the things that matter, and then work on this and add it in later. And it's like, that sucks, but I'm okay with it.
I'm willing to say, even if they never confirm it, that all you people who complained about split screen last time, you're the reason you don't have the co-op campaign.
Yeah. And last thing I'll say about this too. This is probably the last bit of bad news. I expect we'll hear about Halo Infinite leading up to launch, unless they delay it by like a week or something in the future. This is probably it. And they said that this avoided a worse decision later, which is like if we launched it in a state, if we had to delay it 6 months or a year, people would have been more pissed than they are now. And if we had to launch it where those modes were broken and just terrible and other things that needed to be polished suffered, it's like that would have been worse too. And they're like, this is just seems like a fair compromise. And hopefully we don't get any more bad news about Halo Infinite. And that is the end of, I think, the Halo block, your podcast within a podcast all about Halo. Pretty big news. Like, I know that was a bit longer for those of you who may not be as interested, but that actually is pretty big news that there's no Forge or kind of co-op campaign at launch. That's pretty big.
Oh, yeah. And the reason that all came out 2 days before Tuesday, or a couple days before Tuesday, is because they're going to show stuff at the Xbox conference on Tuesday, and they wanted all positive news for that, so they dropped the negative news before.
That's probably why. You're probably right.
Moving on to the next topic, this is a relatively quick one because I feel like we talk about it every 4 years. Bethesda announces the Skyrim Anniversary Edition, free next-gen upgrade, and fishing for our boy Caleb.
God. No, shut up, dude. You know the reason they added fishing to this?
For you.
No, because it's in the Elder Scrolls Online, so it's easy to put in.
See, I didn't know that, but of course Caleb did. It will also include 500 pieces of content from the game's Creation Club, which includes quests, dungeons, bosses, weapons, and spells made by both Bethesda and community creators.
I don't understand this, Jaren. It launches on November 11th, 2021. Yeah, the Anniversary Edition, this is from VGC, by the way, our boy Chris Scullion. The Anniversary Edition will include everything from the Special Edition, which you and I have, right? Which is an enhanced version of the main game and the 3 official expansions, Dawnguard, Hearthfire, and Dragonborn. It will also include 500 pieces of content from the game's Creation Club, which Jaren mentioned, which includes quests, dungeons, bosses, weapons, and spells made by, what you said? The news was announced at a live presentation held during QuakeCon, which Jaren said there would be stuff there, and there was. And then they said, if you already have Skyrim Special Edition, you can upgrade to the Anniversary Edition for the additional content, and it wasn't made clear if there will be a fee for that. And they said that Skyrim Special Edition would also be getting a next-gen upgrade on the same day. Quote, you don't need to own the Anniversary Edition to experience Skyrim on next-gen consoles. As well as the Anniversary Edition and free next-gen upgrades, Bethesda's managing director said that they will be adding fishing, I think, and all that. And so, yeah, it's like, Jaren, is there going to be another achievement list? That's all that matters. Like, is this a standalone release, or is this an upgrade to the Special Edition? I don't understand.
This is an upgrade to the Special Edition. I'm betting that creative content from the Creative Club won't have any achievements because I think they've had the Creation Club in games like Fallout 4 and stuff where the community's been able to create stuff and Bethesda's been able to sell stuff, and Microsoft doesn't put achievements on that because it doesn't come through like their content system.
It seems like it's not like the Special Edition. Like, it seems like they're rebranding the Special Edition to the Anniversary Edition. And in the meantime, like, by doing that, they're updating it. And there's like, but it's not a new release. But then people are kind of calling it like Skyrim's re-releasing again. And it's like, well, it seems like it's just an update to the Special Edition.
I think it's being classified as re-releasing again because I bet they're gonna charge for this like anniversary upgrade would be my guess.
I see. Yeah, I wish, dude. I'm a whore out there, Jaren. Everyone on the internet's like, yo, fuck Skyrim. Why are you re-releasing this game? Like, it's been released like 7 times. And I'm like, dude, I love Skyrim. If they give me an achievement list again, like to play it again, I'll do it. I'm in. And I won't complain. It's like, yo, they're just charging you again for it. And I'm like, from my point of view, they're giving me a reason to play it again. And I love playing it. So I don't care as much, but I understand people's frustration. The people who make the cogent points, Jared, are the ones who are like, yo, why the fuck are you remastering this when you could be like making a remake of Morrowind or Oblivion?
Any of the Fallouts?
Yeah, and you're like, well, that's fair. That's a good, when you say that, I'm fine with you. With people who are just mad that it's more Skyrim, I'm like, fuck you. But the people who are like, no, I'm not mad there's more Skyrim. I'm mad there's more Skyrim because we could get more Morrowind. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, or just, their other like second most successful game, Fallout 3. Or, like, there hasn't been any love for that at all. No,
they really, like, you could just put out, like, a Fallout 3 totally bonkers, PC fully modded version on consoles kind of thing, but no.
Yeah, and also announced at QuakeCon, the Quake Enhanced Edition.
This is pretty cool.
Yeah, Quake is now back on the scene with new enhanced version of id Software's 1996 classic, now available for consoles and PC. Yep, that's all the consoles. This new and improved version of id Software's original groundbreaking shooter includes support for 4K resolution, improved lighting, enhanced models, the return of the game's iconic soundtrack, and a brand new expansion created by Machine Games.
That is the cool part. Yeah, so this news is from GameSpot, and yeah, they announced that it's $10 across and it's Microsoft, I guess, is publishing it, right? Like Bethesda's publishing it on behalf of Microsoft or Xbox across all consoles, like PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch and Steam. So that's kind of cool. And same thing with Skyrim, by the way. The Skyrim update is coming to PlayStation and everything, the Anniversary Edition. So it adds a little more clarity as to what Phil meant when he's like, legacy stuff will be, Xbox will still be supporting with Bethesda. And it's like, what does that mean, Phil? And it's like, it doesn't seem like Elder Scrolls 6 is coming to PlayStation, but it's like, this kind of shit is, which is pretty good. Like, that's nice. I like Phil playing nice with people. And yeah, it's just Quake from, what is it, 1996? Yeah.
Yep.
From PC, it just looks way better, runs way better. And it's got a fucking new expansion, dude. So cool.
Yeah, and the fact that it's got a new expansion created by Machine Games, I'm betting you that this is a $10 remaster going to all platforms, so that when they finally announce that reboot that's coming from Machine Games, everybody is like, ooh, I played that $10 remaster. That was cool. Oh, that's only on Xbox though, huh?
Yep. And dude, $10 is such an appropriate price. Like, can we give like a shout out to just $10? And not being like 30 or, whatever. It wouldn't ever, I don't think it would be 60, but it's like $10. You're like, all right, that's fair. Like, GG. Like,
and they're all going to be in Game Pass. They put Quake 2 and Quake 3 in Game Pass, but I think those are only for PC.
Okay. And then, yeah, didn't they put I don't know this for sure. Didn't they put out like some Quake games on PS4 as well, or PS5 along with this? Or am I wrong? Maybe I'm making that up. I guess it doesn't really matter to our audience anyway.
I think Quake 2 and Quake 3 were only for PC. I think the Quake Remaster is the only one on PlayStation, but I could be wrong. I do know that the next-gen versions will come out later. The ones that are in Game Pass right now and are the ones that are going to be on like launch on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Are the PS4 and Xbox One versions, and then they will give us the fancier versions in a few months.
PlayStation getting some love out there. Interesting for how Bethesda is supporting PlayStation, and with this Quake news and the Skyrim news, and I'm okay with it. I'm not one of those gatekeepers, Jaren. I'm not like, why are they getting upgrades? Why are they getting Quake Remastered? I'm like, no, it's cool. Like, pretty sweet. And I guess it is good advertising for when they make a new Quake.
Yep, there's really no downside for it, and I guarantee you that's what it's for. It's so that you buy the next Quake on Xbox.
Yeah, it's pretty smart, and it's just a cool like thing for fans and people who just want to jump in to see the old Quake in a little better way.
Yep, and it brings just Quake back to the conversation.
Yeah, which Quake Champions came out in I think 2017, and I mean that's kind of it's an arena shooter. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a Quake fan. Were you ever a fan of Quake, Jaron? Did you ever like those games or play those games?
I played the original Wolfensteins, but I never played Quake.
Yeah, I never really got into Quake either. In terms of arena shooters, I know it came out a bit earlier, but I'm just a Halo guy like that. And I played. Oh, dude, I forgot to mention because I played it on an alt account, dude. So going back to the very beginning of the podcast, I played Splitgate this week, and that game's fun. The menus and like the home screen and all that shit, and the cosmetics and the fucking microtransactions, everything sucks. But when you get in the game, once you're in a match, everything's awesome.
That sounds like an indie game, though, so I'm happy about that. They nailed the one thing they set out to nail, which is the gameplay.
Yes, playing the game is awesome. Everything else sucks, but I don't care because the game is so good, so fun, so fluid. It's great.
Now, this next story, there's not really too much to say, except maybe like to talk about perception a bit, but this next story is Outriders dev doesn't know how many copies it sold and hasn't earned any royalties, and the reason this is in the Xbox portion of the podcast is because people have been equating this to Game Pass as if this is a negative on Game Pass.
Yeah, this has been a story for people, in the industry to kind of shit on Game Pass. Okay, so they say on IGN, this is Joe Screbbles, announced on the developer's investor website, People Can Fly, who's the developer, explained that the agreement with Square Enix meant it would receive any royalties for the game's first quarter on sale by August 16th, 2021. No funds were transferred, which People Can Fly suggests means that, quote, according to the publisher, the revenues from the sale of the game are lower than the total cost of its production, including quality assurance, distribution, and promotion. And People Can Fly executive Sebastian Wakachowska, it's an interesting name, added that the company had no firm data for copies sold. And he said, quote, we don't have any sales figures for Outriders. We estimate it at between 2 and 3 million units and assumed that this was a result that would ensure profitability for this project in the first quarter of sales. The lack of payment by the publisher probably means that, according to Square Enix, this is not the case. So people are saying Outriders didn't make its money back, and we have sales estimates / guesses from People Can Fly, but no confirmation from Square Enix. But we know that People Can Fly didn't get their royalty payments, and people are saying, some people in the industry are saying, well, you see, you put a game in Game Pass and it doesn't sell. Fuck you. And I'm like, from my perspective, I feel like that's a pretty reductive, non-nuanced stance because, and you can say what you think about this, Jaren, but I was like, okay, the game going into Game Pass almost certainly was why it even sold as much as it did, right? Like if it wasn't in Game Pass, it didn't get the marketing, it didn't get the player boost, it didn't get the people who saw this on PlayStation and maybe PC to like hop in, like the people on PlayStation to buy the game and stuff. The game probably would have bombed even harder, right? Like, is that a bad take?
I don't think it's a bad take. I also just think that every article about this story is asking the wrong questions, and that the right questions are, why does Square Enix not share any kind of knowledge with their studio in how much money they made? And also, they specifically talk about sales. So is Game Pass checks that Microsoft write, are those even included in Square Enix's assessment of how much money the game has made in sales?
Yeah, that's also what I was going to bring up. I was going to bring up the kind of publisher-developer relationship at the end, because IGN aptly talks about it in their article as well. But yeah, in terms of like, it's like kind of what you said, like Microsoft paid Square Enix for the game to go into Game Pass. And Square Enix accepted for what they thought the game was worth, right? They had an agreement with Xbox where they looked at potential sales and how much revenue they would make on those sales on the Xbox marketplace. And then they looked at the agreement or the amount of money that Microsoft offered them. And the theory, like, they accepted, right? So doesn't that mean that they're like, well, we don't think that it'll sell better and make more money through just regular game sales than if the money that Xbox gives us upfront on Game Pass, right?
Yeah, I also just, from like the IO Interactive thing, how that all shook out, how Avengers shook out, I just don't trust Square Enix with their money. And if I was People Can Fly, I would want to know harder numbers the next time I negotiate a contract with Square Enix, because if Microsoft paid them $50 million, for example, and you sold, I'm just giving an example here, and you sold 2 to 3 million units at full price, did your game really cost more than like $100 million to make?
Yeah, and people are pointing out, and it's a good thing about the game, it's made, and you and I play it, it's made like a live service type of game, right? Almost like a Division kind of game, or a almost kind of Destiny-esque kind of game. Even just like the menus, or like the inventory, obviously.
Yeah.
And it's like, but they don't have any microtransactions in the game, which is what people like about it. And that's a selling point. That's a good part of it. It's like a live service game, but no, they don't have in-game monetization. It's just the game, right? And so they didn't make money that way. So maybe that played a part in it too, based on sales expectations and other things. I don't know what Square Enix was expecting, and I don't know how anyone could think that it being in Game Pass ultimately hurt the amount of money generated. I have no idea how that argument gets made and how it didn't actually promote the game and make it better. And then just for you to go off of here at the end, you mentioned kind of the relationship between like Square Enix, who seems like a shady publisher to work with at this point, is a little weird, and the People Can Fly people. And they say at the end of the IGN article, this is kind of important, People Can Fly is currently working on new games for both Square Enix and Take-Two. But Wachowski, I'm just going to call him that. I don't know what his name is. It's very complicated to spell and say. You can look it up on IGN. Says a third new game is in the planning stages, with the developer intending to self-publish it. That seems to come down in part to situations like that of Outriders. Quote, working with the publisher has many advantages, but also its disadvantages. One of them is the low impact of People Can Fly on sales activities and the incompleteness, or as in this case, the lack of data obtained from the publisher in this regard, which is what Jaren was saying. This is one of the reasons why, apart from working with publishers, we have decided to develop projects whose IP will remain the property of the company and which will be published by the company. So there you go. That's kind of what you were saying. The People Can Fly seem to not... they have, I guess, two more games? Or one more game, rather, that they're working on for Square Enix, but they don't seem to enjoy working with them, per se.
Yeah, this feels like a story that needs like a month more to breathe, and then we're going to get the real answers about it. And I wouldn't be shocked if Square Enix didn't include what Microsoft paid them in their justification of how many copies this sold, in quotations.
Yeah, I think you that's an apt thing that I've been hearing many people say. It's like, yeah, this story does need more time, I think, to get more information. But people are using it on the internet to say the Game Pass sucks, which, again, I don't know how you could successfully make that argument without many caveats. And that's kind of how that situation got into the X block.
Yep. And these next three things, we're just going to read through them quick because they're pretty straight to the point and we don't really need to say much about them. Sea of Thieves, A Pirate's Life launch results in record-breaking month for Rare. It now had 4.8 million pirates playing the game.
Yeah, it was in the month of June. It had 4.8 million players.
There you go.
So after Pirate's Life came out, which is a real testament to that fucking game, dude.
Dude, people love Pirates of the Caribbean.
It came out in 2017. It's just gotten better and better. They've made the right decisions at Rare and stuck with it, and I play it, and the game's awesome. There's nothing else like it, and the kind of thing I think about when seeing this, like 4.8 million players is a huge success. Like, that's a hugely successful multiplayer game 3 years after launch, and these are the things, I mean, not to make it like kind of a dickhead like console war thing, I don't think it is, but it's like these are the things that PlayStation's missing, right, in their first party.
Yeah.
They need something cool like this. And I would, that I'm not even being like, we got it, you don't. I'm like, no, like, they should have something like this. That'd be cool.
Yeah, dude, they got knack.
Yeah, they do. They do have knack.
The next story, Xbox Series X latest insider update improves the dashboard for 4K screens. They have added a new 4K UI.
Yeah, it's in the alpha skip ahead ring. They didn't actually confirm that it's 4K, but that it is an increased resolution UI on 4K displays. So that it may actually not be at 4K, but it is a higher resolution that is probably 4K. And they say in this VGC article, whoever they're quoting says, quote, "This change means home, guide, and other areas of the UI will be displayed in a higher native resolution for increased sharpness and text readability." So fucking hoorah, that's it. Good for us.
And the last thing in the X block, some Game Pass news for you. Myst will be coming to Game Pass very soon this week, and it has a feature in it called Super Resolution, which is AMD's Fidelity FX technology, and this is something that allows graphics to be turned way up with far less effects on the hardware. So this will be the first game that was actually built ground up using this technology, and we're going to see what it looks like when Myst launches in Game Pass on August 26th. And last thing in Game Pass news, 4 games that will be leaving at the end of August: Blair Witch, Double Kick Heroes, NBA 2K21, and Stranger Things 3, the game.
I wonder if Blair Witch has been in there for 12 months at this point. If I looked, that might be it. I don't know. But
it might even be 2 years.
Could be. Is 12 minutes, is that in Game Pass?
Yep, 12 minutes was added to Game Pass this last week.
Okay, because I think that's a pretty interesting game. And it was funny, I think Hideo Kojima, our boy, who we don't care about, but everyone else does, I think he tweeted out something of like, playing 12 minutes was like so good for him, it was like such a great experience that it like motivated him, like he wants to make an adventure game.
He's definitely the right guy to make an adventure game because he could make a wacky ass adventure game.
Yeah, I bet he could. I mean, I bet it'd be good. But I just found that interesting. Apparently 12 minutes is good. It's in Game Pass, so yeah, like check it out if you're interested in that.
Yeah. It's got split reviews. Some people love it. Some people hate it.
Which one will you be?
Yeah, which one? You really got to give it a shot. It seems like you're either going to love it or hate it. It doesn't really have a middle ground.
Yeah.
Now, moving on to the X Factor discussion. And Caleb, I want to talk about Pokemon.
I see that, dude. What happened? Why? Why Pokemon, Jaren?
The new Pokemon Legends game, how do you say it, Caleb?
Arceus,
was shown off with a brand new trailer, and all the Nintendo fans went, "Oh my god, this is incredible." And every other person on the internet went, "Why does this game look like a turd?"
It's so, dude. If that's what you want to talk about, yeah, Pokemon Legends Arceus got I mean, it's been announced. I mean, I could talk about this for a second. Yeah, we saw
more and we got more features.
It was like a 3-minute trailer, an engine, some gameplay, bullshit like that. And it's like, the premise is that it's the kind of Pokemon, RPG, I guess technically a JRPG, that everyone who's a Pokemon fan has been waiting for so long. Like, it looks, it's open world. Like, you're a person, you walk up to people, like enemies in the grass, you throw Pokeballs at them, and you can, like, without battling, you can, and you come across, I don't know, these Pokemon that try to attack the player, literally. It's like dodge and, like, move, and it's really, more immersive. And there was they changed the battle systems a bit, Jaren, where, like, you can, some status effects and things make it where you can, like, attack twice in a row, and so it's a bit different. But it's like, the Pokemon game everyone's been waiting for. And smartly from them, just an addition from Nintendo. It is a prequel to the Diamond and Pearl, the Sinnoh region. If you played those games, did you play those games?
Me, no.
Okay, well, it's the 4th gen of Pokemon that they're re-released. They're remaking the games. They remade the first 3 gens. They're remaking, it's like Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, or maybe it's reversed. And those are coming out, and it's like, okay, Arceus is kind of like a prequel. Like, it's the same kind of area or region, but when it was named something different, like way in the past. So it's supposed to be connected. Anyway, you see the trailer, Jared, and it looks worse than the Breath of the Wild Wii U version. You remember how Breath of the Wild was made on Wii U, and then they put it on Switch as a launch game because it was a Wii U game and they could, I guess, to sell the Switch. And, it looks like the Wii U version of Breath of the Wild, dog. It's not good.
Yeah, I saw it described as if a fan made a Pokemon game in dreams.
Yeah, that was really good. And here's the problem. And you may be saying, Caleb, Jaren, why are you guys being such picky assholes? The game will probably be fun. It's like, listen, I'm talking to you right now, okay? Pokemon sells more copies than almost any game. This Pokemon Legends Arceus will sell like 30 fucking million units or more at full price with no sales. It's gonna be insane. It's gonna be huge, especially with the number of Switches out now. And you can go look at how well Pokemon games have sold in the past. How do they not have the money and the time to just make these games look better and still maintain the art style? And it's not the same as if, Halo Infinite's pre-alpha technical preview when under stress has some bad textures and a bit of rendering draw distance problems that they then fixed. It's like, nah, dude. This is like your game looks like poo-poo, and some of the animations are stiff and it's the thing that Jaren, you don't like JRPGs like me, right? We don't play those. And it's one of the things I don't like about it, whereas you see some animations happen and they're repetitive. It's the same animation and it's stiff and it's you can tell it's a JRPG. But in this instance, it's that combined with a water painting that is not even I don't know, dude. Why don't they have so much money that they can make a great looking game that maintains the Pokemon art style? It's probably going to be fun for people who want to play it, but it could be so much more.
That's the thing. That's the thing is I'm not knocking Nintendo as the games they make, because most of the games they make as games are great. The mechanics are great. The gameplay's great. Everything about the game is great. I just want Nintendo to respect their fans.
No, they don't.
And
they
give them an experience that is a collectively nice package. And all their fans are going to say, well, that's what Nintendo games aren't about. I'm like, how did everybody let Nintendo brainwash them so much?
Yeah.
That when you criticize Nintendo's graphical capabilities, everybody says, well, that's not what it's about. And it's but we've seen on PlayStation, for sure, if you guys want to talk about just PlayStation, that it is possible to nail the gameplay, nail the graphics, and nail the story. We've seen it on PC. We've seen it on Xbox.
Even for a system like Switch that isn't powerful, you could do way better. Dude.
And just put a little bit more effort in.
Take the tens and hundreds of millions of dollars that Pokemon makes and vary some of the animations. Keep the art style, but just make it look immaculate within that art style. It's Pokemon. This isn't like an indie game, dude. It's fucking Pokemon. Why does it look so bad? Go watch the trailer if you haven't seen it. Go watch it.
Yeah, I don't. Everyone just treats Nintendo like they're some small uppity indie studio that can only make games a certain way, and there's no way to make them better.
Yeah, and meanwhile they don't put their games on sale, and each one of their sales has a higher retention rate on the console than anything on any other console has ever had, and they make so many millions of dollars that they just wipe their ass with because they don't put all of it back into the games.
Yeah, The Witcher 3 comes out at 480p. And Nintendo's yo, we ain't never putting that on sale. It's never going on sale.
And I don't know, man. This Pokemon thing, it's just, again, go watch the trailer. Pokemon fans deserve better. I'm sure it'll be fun. And the thing is, Jaren, you and I talking, and I've told you that, doesn't matter, Jaren. Doesn't matter. This game is still going to sell 30 million copies.
Oh, for sure.
It's just going to sell gangbusters, It's going to be insane.
Yeah, I can't wait until the next GTA 6 drops stick figures and everyone has the same reaction to Pokemon of, Yeah, it's fine as long as the gameplay's good.
Someone has to hold Nintendo accountable, Jared. And it's we're the heroes, dude. We need gold medals. You and me, we're the fucking heroes of the internet out here.
All right, and now we're moving on to the FAF. As the only people who hold Nintendo accountable, we feel that we are the best educated to bring you the stupid news that you do not need to know, and the news that you see scrolling by on your feed about where Link will go next, if Samus is actually a 40-year-old man in a basement. And we bring you these, and we tell you if you needed to know them, or if you should have just let us tell them to you. This is the FAF.
Yeah, basically we're stupid experts.
So Caleb, start us off.
All right, buddy. First on the list, MicroFAF.
The Halo TV series will show a different side of Master Chief, maybe the left.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, I saw that. People were like, yeah, that was a good joke, by the way. Let's not ignore that. Let's go back. That was great, Jaren. Fucking high five, dude. Fucking got him. But people are upset. Some people, the Halo community, they're upset that they may show Master Chief's face in the show. And it's like, what the fuck do you want? What do you want? He'll just have his helmet on the whole show.
Dude, he wears his helmet when he poops.
I bet he does, dude. They're never going to show with his helmet off. I'm like, all right. We'll see how that show goes, dude. Listen to a Joe Rogan podcast recently with Neil Blomkamp, the director of District 9. And he talked about like some of his production on the Halo shit. That guy's so cool. I wish he would have made that show back in the day, or that movie. It would have been so good, dude. He was the man for it.
Definitely more like interesting and creative than probably what we're going to get.
He was talking about how they actually like made a warthog, you know, with the spinning turret, and how like they were driving in it, and he got like half his ear cut off, almost chopped off, had to get plastic surgery. He talked about all kinds of shit, man. I wanted to see that. It would have been so good.
Yeah, it definitely would have been interesting. Next up in the FAF, MicroFAF, Microsoft announces new Xbox stereo headset.
Oh, I saw these. What do you think about this? They were like $60, right?
Yeah, it's not too bad. Speaking of other Xbox-related peripherals, Scuf Gaming has announced their new Xbox controllers for the Xbox Series X and S, starting at $170 for the Instinct and $200 for the Instinct Pro. It's essentially an Elite controller made by somebody that is an Xbox.
Yeah, I don't know why you would get this. I don't know. Some people like the Scuf controllers. I don't, but they keep making them, and people keep buying them. So, you know.
All right, Caleb, hit me with the next one.
Oh, God. The Duty Department. New duty, same hole.
First up in the duty department news, they announced the new Call of Duty Vanguard coming out November 5th with a brand new trailer that didn't say anything about Activision because even they don't like it enough to put their name on it.
No, I love how you put this in the FAF and it's a Call of Duty announcement, and you and I could give such a shit that we put it in the FAF at the end of our show, where they officially announced Vanguard. I saw the trailer, don't care. That's it.
My favorite part about this was Warzone has a train, and it has crashed ahead of Call of Duty Vanguard's in-game reveal event. If that's not foreshadowing, I don't know what is. A train wreck is a-coming, Caleb.
Dude, there's another thing, like, for the first time, I think Black Ops Zombies is like crossing over into Vanguard in some way.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever indeed.
All right, Caleb, hit me with the next one.
Wow, before 2050?
Avengers dev insists PlayStation exclusive Spider-Man is still coming this year.
Haha, dude, fucking got him. That was a good one. I don't know what the FAF are before Jaren says them, so that was a surprise for me as it was for you, you know.
And the last one, Quick Quips.
They're never quick.
Starting off with GTA Remastered Trilogy may actually be released in 2022 rather than this year, it is claimed.
I don't have anything to say about that. That is so unsurprising.
Well, did you like paying for microtransactions in your video games? Well, Walt Disney World has just added Disneyland's Genie Plus system, which is a new FastPass paid system.
Oh.
They're adding microtransactions to a theme park, Caleb.
Jaren, when are you and I going to Disneyland?
Whenever you can afford to go.
Yeah, we talked about that, recently. Jaren, listen, we got to do like an X Block, like just X Block goes to Disneyland. We'll record something there. we'll buy the microtransaction.
X Block goes to Disneyland. We'll use it as a tax write-off.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant.
And the last story, in Quick Quips, NHL 22 brings the Frostbite engine to the series for the first time. And you know what you needed to fix a sports game? the fucking Frostbite engine that was designed for shooters. I'm so excited. It's coming to NHL 22. God. If the last games weren't shit enough, the best thing they could have done was add Frostbite to them.
Every developer who's ever talked about it hates Frostbite. Everyone says it sucks.
And that is the end of the X Block Podcast, episode 23. If you would like to hear us on a different platform than you are listening to right now, we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Overcast, anything else that Anchor supports, and we are even on YouTube if you prefer to listen to your podcast there. Also, if you would like to follow us outside of the podcast, feel free to come over to Twitter at XBlockPodcast. Feel free to go over to Instagram at XBlockPodcast, or feel free to go over to our Patreon, which Caleb will now tell you about.
Patreon.com/XBlockPodcast. Once again, I am asking you, like Bernie Sanders, for your support to get me and Jaren new mics. Like some Shure, what are they, SMB 7s or whatever the fuck?
There you go, you got it.
Yeah, something like that. We want to get some new mics, make the show better, and maybe we want to look to do more with the show in the future, and you can do that by going to patreon.com/xblockpodcast, throwing us some bucks, and we will put it back into the podcast. Please do so. And Jaren mentioned Twitter at xblockpodcast. Go over there, say nice things, leave us a nice comment, put in a question for the show, whatever you want to do, and then go to the podcast service you're listening to this on, leave us a nice review, and in the comments write, "Dem boys pretty neato," and I'll know that it was you. I know you meant it. I know you listened all the way through the end, and that's it.
Yep. And Juwan and Austin, I want you to tell your friends about the podcast, and I better hear one more listener from each of you.
Like that guy from Slovakia that I saw in our metrics recently. We're the Slovakian, man. You got to go tell your friends about us, man. We want more Slovakian listeners, all right?
Yep. So there you go. I'm calling you guys out specifically. X Block out.
Thanks for listening to the X Block. New episodes every Monday at 5 a.m.
I wouldn't suck a dick, but I'd suck a popsicle.